we continue with Dr. Brigitte Reineke, who's our next speaker. She is head of the Department of Central Documentation at the German Historical Museum in Berlin, which is Berlin's or Germany's National Historical Museum, housing the collections of both predecessor institutions since the German reunification in 1990. Brigitte Reineke has been coordinating its provenance research efforts since 2014. And when in 2019, 2 permanent positions for provenance researchers have been established under her direction. They since then focus on researching Nazi looted art and on the one hand, and on the other, the expropriation of cultural property in the Soviet occupation zone and the German Democratic Republic. Brigitte Reineke also supervises a joint project with us, the German Lost Art Foundation, on the role of the Vault Administration Division of the GDR's Ministry of Finance. So thank you for being here with us today, Brigitte Reineke, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation and the nice presentation. And in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I try to explain the 3 databases to search for looted property, which are available on our website. So I try to share my screen. So I have a problem here. Do you see something?
Yes, we do see your presentation. Now it's gone in my screen.
You only see the presentation in presentation mode, not in the full screen mode, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I try it again. I hope now it's better. Do you see now the full screen?
Not showing yet. Can you try again, maybe? Okay, we're not seeing anything right now. It's not shared, at least not on my screen.
Oh, I have to try it again. It was perfect when we
tried, yes, yeah.
That's
Just give it a minute. I'm sure we'll get there.
okay, I try this.
Yes. So I can see something now.
What? What is something?
your PowerPoint, your PowerPoint screen. So
Oh, it's not the full screen.
it's not full screen yet.
No, but it's okay.
So I don't know why, because it's not possible to take the presentation. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's okay so.
So if you can see something, it's better than nothing, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we try. I do my best. Since 2008, the Deutsches Historisches Museum has been offering databases as tools for international provenance research. The 3 databases now available are the Linz collection, the collection Hermann Göring, and the Munich Central Collecting Point. They provide information on provenance and the movement of objects in the time of the Nazi period. They have different structures and offer different approaches for research, which I would now like to describe. The databases on the Special Commission Linz, or also called Linz Collection, and on Hermann Göring's art collection bundle information about individual objects, in particular about previous owners, access to the collections, and possible locations after 1945, which were compiled from different sources and refer respectively to an individual object. The database on the Munich Central Collecting Point, by contrast, offers information from the index card of that place where artworks were located after the Second World War. Thus, in the database, research here can be conducted directly in the sources of the objects where they were stored and their provenance as far as recorded. I would like to begin my remarks with this database. The database on the Central Collecting Point in Munich has been online since 2009 and was set up in cooperation with the Federal Office of Central Services and Unresolved Property Issues and the Federal Archive. The Central Collecting Point was established by the American Allies after the Second World War in the former office building of the Nazi Party in Munich as a place to gather art objects. The task was to bring all of the artworks from the different collection depots together, works that has been stolen, confiscated, or sold through the art trade in the Nazi period in the German Reich or in the occupied territories. When the objects arrived in the CCP, they were registered by hand on index cards, and their provenance, as known at this time, was recorded. All different kinds of objects were collected there. Paintings, applied art objects, graphic prints, and tapestries, as well as numismatic objects. The CCP index cards are now in the Federal Archive and are ordered accordingly to their so-called Munich number, or abbreviated Münchner Nummer, MÜ-Nummer. The Munich number is the original registration number the object received in the CCP in Munich. In searching for clues to an object, you therefore need to know the Munich number in order to search through the CCP index cards in the Federal Archive. The concept of the museum's database is based on the experience that it was almost hopeless, or at least very difficult, to undertake a search for an object without knowledge of the object's MÜ-Nummer. A database that made it possible to search for other entries on the index cards, such as previous owners, earlier locations, description of the objects, etc., was also needed. To this end, the index card had to be scanned and then the individual entries on the cards described in order to then transfer the transcriptions into the designated fields of the database. With the transcriptions, it is now possible to undertake searches not only through the Munich number, but also according to artists, inventory numbers, material, technique, and other fields. The MCCP database contains 170,000 entries and some 300,000 images as property cards and photographs. Concerning the system of the index cards. Different index card systems were used in the CCP. When the objects arrived at the CCP, the so-called arrival cards, or so-called Kontrollnummernkartei, were created, which listed the available rough information and gave the object a Munich number. In a further step, individual objects were recorded with details on property cards or in the so-called restitution file. These cards offer the most information about previous owners, object movements, and storage sites. Further indication about the contents of the individual index card systems that can be searched in the database can be found under this hearing called files. Searches can be undertaken as follows. The quickest and easiest way is through the Munich number as far as it is known. We'll give it a try with a Munich number 2356. Here we receive a list of hits that provides index card on several different objects. With this number, we already have a special case. The Munich number exists in two versions, Munich number 2356/1 and MÜ-Nummer 2356/2, probably because both objects were together in a box or package. So this is confirmed by calling up a single index card under the Kontrollnummern file, which gives the Munich number with both objects 1 and 2, and also indicates the package. In the list of hits, we find index cards with the arrival number, from the arrival number that contain information that was recorded when the object arrives in the CCP, as well as from the further property cards in the so-called restitution file. There we find two paintings described as Landscape River by Wilhelm de Klerk and Girl's Head by a Viennese artist. Here we also added pictures of the objects from the Federal Office, as well as the entry from the database on the Special Commission Linz. I will get back to the special database a bit later. Another research path is the extended search. Here is the example of Kranach Lukas. You can get 57 hits. Please note, if you enter only Kranach, you get 198 hits. So attention, the spelling of the artist's name is not standardized, so that you might get a different results. It is also possible that mistakes in the transcription have not been corrected, so that it's possible to get a different number of hits. And please note, many of the entries here are in English because the inventory was done in the CCP by American art protection officers. The temporary titles in English do not necessarily correspond to those in German exhibitions or catalogs. When titles are searched for, it is best to enter both English and German titles. Here we find, for an example, a portrait of a gentleman by Lucas Cranach the G, no doubt Lucas Cranach the Younger, with the Munich number 693. The artist's name is described, abbreviated as we see here and not written out, and also with a missing E on the. So for this reason, it's sensible to undertake the research for using different spellings. It is also possible that the painting has meanwhile been ascribed to a different artist, which makes it even more difficult to search for the object. So there are further details on the front side of the index card, such as the inscriptions on the painting or the condition when it arrived at the CCP. On the back side are further transcribed details on Katja Mühlmann, a well-known art organizer, or more correct, an art thief. Here, orthographic mistakes can occur, so it is always important to monitor the index cards carefully. As already briefly noted, we have often added new information to the archive transcriptions. When available, the Federal Office of Central Services contributed pictures of the objects, which we have integrated into the data as additional information. This was not part of the original archival inventory of the index cards from the Federal Archive. We have also added a reference to the database Special Commission Linz if objects listed on the index cards are verifiably had the same Munich number in the collection of the Special Commission Linz. Here, for example, the painting of the Christ rising with crowns of thrones. This brings me to the next database for the provenance research, which presents the state of our information on objects for the proposed museum in Linz, Austria from the year 2008. So in 2008, the database on the Linz collection was the first one to be established in cooperation with the museum, the historian Hans Christian Löhr, and the Federal Office of Central Services. Unlike the database on the Munich Central Collecting Point, the Linz database is not an archival database, but rather a database centered around the objects. It brings together the sources of the objects and their utilization. It contains pictures, sculptures, furniture, porcelain, and tapestry that Adolf Hitler and his representatives bought or seized from confiscated goods in the time between the end of the 1930s and 1945. These objects were primarily designated for a museum that was planned to open in the city of Linz, but also for other collections. The database covers 6,680 objects, about which different amounts of information exist and which can be researched individually. This database does not lead directly to the sources, but only provides a summary of the evaluated sources and data. Here, different basic fields can be researched. Provenance, title of the object, name of the artist, and location of the object. If you enter at least 3 letters, you can get a list of suggestions from which you can choose, and which clearly shows, for example, that there are different ways the artist Kranach Lukas can be listed. Here you can search for artists and different listings of artists' names. The object image is a comfortable way of quickly identifying the searched for picture. With the painting, Der auferstandene Christus mit Dorn, Krone und Rutenbesen, or in English, the risen Christ with crown and thrones, it shows that this is also listed in the CCP database. The painting is only searchable under its German title. Please note, in general, you will find only German language titles, because this database refers back to the German language collection of objects as its basis, and not to archival records, which often have both German and English titles. The field for Bleib or location also offers the possibility of using a suggestion list. If you enter Österreich, for example, it gives you 3 possibilities to search for the location of an object in Austria. This kind of search is also possible with the title field. This is particularly important because the title can be merely a description of the object and not one that is used in the auction catalog or exhibitions. So here I tried it with the example Wasser, and you see you can get many hits. The full text search or Volltextsuche searches through all of the fields, while the search using the Munich or Linz number allows you to search for a specific object. If you search Österreich in the full text search field, you will get many more hits than if you enter Österreich in the location field, because it now also searches for the names of previous owners or the word Österreich in an object title. Here too, many of the images come from the Federal Office of Central Services, whose image files were later integrated into this database. The database on the collection Hermann Göring went online in 2012 as the last of the 3 research databases. It was also developed in cooperation with Hans Christian Löhr, the Federal Office of Central Services, and our museum. It contains pictures, sculptures, furniture, tapestries, and other arts and craft objects that Hermann Göring, Adolf Hitler's deputy, purchased or seized from confiscated assets between the end of the 1920s and 1945. Most of these objects were destined for a museum that was planned to be built in the Schorfhalde moorland near Berlin. The inventory contains 4,263 works and can be searched most usefully by using the Erweiterte Suche or extended search. In this database, there is a further possibility of including a specific search not found in the other 2 databases. Here you can use the lists at the end of the different fields. If you enter Kranach and then click on list, for example, you will find different ways the artist's name can be written and select the one you are looking for. The mechanism also works with such categories as Einlieferer, deliverer, or Vorbesitzer Typ, kind of previous owner. If you enter bank, for example, or bank, you can get 4 hits for paintings that were sold to Hermann Göring through a bank. The information about the object, as far as available, contains, along with the RM number, the number from the catalogue of Reichsmarschall Göring, which he himself compiled in 1940, the Munich number in case the object was also registered in the Munich Central Collecting Point list. As an example, I show the painting by Tintoretto with the Munich number 4698. The title shown here is Die Vermählung der Heiligen Katharina von Siena, known in English as a mystic marriage of St. Catherine of Siena. The link behind it refers directly to the CCP database, so that the respective CCP index cards can be called up. When you click on Informationen MCCP Datenbank, the first index card is a rival card or the control number index card, on which the painting is listed in handwriting as Verlobung der Heiligen Katharina, betrothal of St. Catherine. After that, you find the restitution card on which the painting is now in English and called St. Catherine of Siena. Such references allow you to search for the painting under different titles in other research tools, inventory numbers, inventory lists, exhibition or auction catalogs. In conclusion, I'd like to point out that few things in life are perfect, and these databases definitely are not. They are no longer up to date and are in need to expert copy editing, a review of the data from sources, and a standardization of places and names, which of course is planned in a long run. Furthermore, there were and still are certain technical problems that make the three databases function with different ease. But despite all of the difficulties and shortcomings, they do in fact offer the opportunity to find clues and indications for further research, and have therefore become very important tools for international provenience research. I hope they will also be useful to you in the future. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Brigitte Reineke, for this tour de force through your databases and the few research tips to get through them and use them more wholesomely.